Everybody, welcome back to Wiki Sports and welcome back to the Miami Minute, where we cover my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. And disappointed is the word of the day here. At least we got the disappointment out of the way early. And going into the second half, I thought the word was going to be despair, despondent. But no, we're just disappointed because once again, the Miami Dolphins lose to a measuring stick team. We lost to the Bills, we lost to the Eagles, and now we lost 21-14 to the Kansas City Chiefs in Germany. We'll get the stats out of the way quick, and then we can kind of dive into really what the narrative around this game is going to be. Tua, of course, led the way with 193 yards passing, one touchdown. Mostert had 85 on the ground and a touchdown, and Tyreek Hill, 8 receptions for 62 yards. For Kansas City, Mahomes, 185 for 2 touchdowns. Pachinko, 66 yards on 16 carries. And Noah Gray, 3 for 34. So if you looked only at the offensive stats of the Kansas City Chiefs, you would feel really, really good about the chances for the Miami Dolphins to come out with the victory. And that's all on the defense. The defense held this Kansas City team to 14 points. They scored immediately, less than 3 minutes into the game, with an 11-yard pass from Mahomes to Rashee Rice. But then it took till 2:30 left in the second quarter to go up 14-0, and that was like a 95-yard drive, ate up 8.5 minutes. And then probably the biggest play, not only in it being the difference, but in narratively being important to the NFL script, the NFL story of this season. Tyreek Hill catches a screen pass, immediately hit, and fumbles, and he gets run back 59 yards for a touchdown. Dolphins go into halftime, 21-0. Hill did say this week was going to be important for him against his former team. He wanted to show out. And while he did have 8 receptions for 62 yards, he had a couple drops and he had this fumble. So I can't imagine he's necessarily feeling great about if not the effort, about the results of his play today. In the second half, though, they were able to claw back. They got a 31-yard pass from Tua to Cedric Wilson Jr., and then a 13-yard run from Mostert. And that came off of a great play by the defense, forced Patrick Mahomes to fumble. Dolphins almost screwed it up and had penalties and sacks to back them up. But luckily, they were bailed out by Chris Jones, shoving, it was an Austin Jackson for no reason, really, and giving the Dolphins a first down and a short field to score. So, lucked out there. I guess if you look at it strictly from the Dolphins defense versus the Kansas City offense, this is a great game. Of course, they gave up 14 in the first half, 7 very quickly, but second half, the absolutely dominated. Punts, forced fumbles, forcing just terrible passes. It was a really nice showing from a unit who early on in the season was the weak spot. Unfortunately, it coincides with the offense not playing very well. Probably their worst game of the season, depending on whether or not you think the game against the Eagles was worse. But the biggest thing in this one was that last drive. They get the ball back. They get like 50 yards off of 2 runs. They come into the 2-minute warning, with like 50 yards left to go for a potentially game tying touchdown. And they proceed to go 4 plays, 4 passes, 0 completions, a miscommunication between Tua and Cedric Wilson on what the route was supposed to be that really looked terrible. It looked like Tua massively underthrew it, and that, of course, will be memed forever. Anytime Tua has a bad throw, which fair, I guess. But the very last play, 4th and 10, game on the line after coming back in the second half, Tua just completely misses the snap, has to fall on it. And that's it. That's the game. So yet again, the Dolphins fail a test against a good team. Right now, they are an above average team. They will beat middling and below teams, but you can't trust them to beat any team that's very good right now. And they might, at the time of recording, this is before the Buffalo Bills play the Bengals. The Bills win. Bills will be in first in the AFC East. Of course, that's going to be tough. The Bengals are a very good team. They are already over their early season jitters, so potentially they'll be able to beat the Bills. We got to hope as Dolphins fans, but yeah, going into the bye, not really what you want to see, but it will be very interesting to see how this team responds, right? Last year they were able to make the playoffs, going 9-8. I think this team is good for 5 more wins this season, so that'll give them 10-11. Hopefully that'll be enough to make the playoffs. If they're able to correct some things on offense, if they're able to step up in certain games, maybe they can challenge for the first overall seed in the AFC, but losing to the Kansas City Chiefs really, really hurts their chances here. So we'll see what happens. Very disappointing. Once again, felt this way after the Eagles game, felt this way after the Bills game, feel this way now. The Dolphins really have to prove it to me. Can they be a great team, or are they just a fun, above average team? The rest of the season will determine that, of course. And, I do think this is a playoff team. Once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. So, like I said at the top, I'm not despondent, I'm not despairing, but I am quite disappointed. And if you're a Dolphins fan, I'd love to hear from you. Are you disappointed in the outcome of this game? I can't imagine you wouldn't be. What do you think about the Dolphins' chances for the rest of the season? Again, would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, we have coverage of all the major sports here on Wicked Good Sports. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.